60 kilometers north of Sydney, inside a narrow sandstone cleft in the New South Wales bush. Both walls are covered floor to ceiling in symbols that look like they belong on the temples at Karnak. Carved into that rock is a cartouche, the oval royal frame ancient Egyptians reserved for one purpose, containing a hieroglyph that translates as Khufu, the man who built the Great Pyramid. The official position is that every one of those Gosford Glyphs is a 20th century fake. The site has never been formally excavated, and the traditional owners of this land have made statements the official position still hasn't fully answered. To enter the site inside Brisbane Water National Park, you have to squeeze through a narrow gap in the sandstone, an awkward, slightly disorienting scramble that opens into a passage where two rock faces rise several meters on either side of you. Both walls, from close to the ground up to a height most people couldn't reach without a ladder, are covered in carved symbols, not scattered marks, not ambiguous shapes you have to squint at. Immediately recognizable hieroglyphics, the same visual vocabulary you would find on the walls of Karnak or Abu Simbel. Among them, an image of Anubis, the Egyptian god of the dead, and that cartouche, the royal oval, with Khufu's name inside it. In the mid-1990s, an Australian named Ray Johnson produced a translation of those symbols. His account describes an expedition of two royal brothers, Lord Nefertari and Lord Neferjeseb, sons of the Pharaoh Khufu, who became stranded in Australia after losing their vessel. Lord Nefertari died from a snake bite. He was buried at the site. The surviving brother carved the memorial you are now reading. If that translation is accurate, the Gosford Cleft is the burial place of a son of the man who built the Great Pyramid, predating European knowledge of Australia by roughly 4,000 years. It would be one of the most significant archaeological discoveries in human history. Here is where the story begins to fracture. For years, many researchers assumed the translator was Raymond W. Johnson, a genuinely eminent Egyptologist who served as director of the Epigraphic Survey at the Oriental Institute of the University of Chicago. That assumption gave the translation a credibility it might not otherwise have carried. The American Raymond W. Johnson has explicitly and publicly stated he has never visited the Gosford site and has no connection to the translation whatsoever. The Australian Ray Johnson, who actually produced it, was self-taught, held no formal academic qualifications in Egyptology, and died in 2004. The entire case for ancient Egyptian contact in the New South Wales bush rests on a translation whose author's identity was confused with someone else's for years, and that confusion has never been fully untangled. Do you think the translation gains or loses credibility once you know the Australian Ray Johnson had no formal Egyptology training? Yes or no? Drop your answer in the comments below. Because the credibility question doesn't end with the translator, it runs straight into the physical evidence carved into the sandstone itself. 8 years after Alan Dash first formally reported the site, a rock art conservator for the National Parks and Wildlife Service named David Lambert entered that same sandstone cleft and examined the carvings up close. What he found became the strongest single piece of evidence in the hoax argument. Many of the glyphs showed no weathering consistent with age. Ancient carvings on sandstone develop a patina over time, a slow chemical darkening of the exposed surface that distinguishes work done centuries ago from work done recently. A significant number of the Gosford symbols showed none of that. Lambert's assessment was that they appeared to have been made within the previous year, not centuries ago, not millennia, 12 months. The linguistic evidence compounds the problem. Independent Egyptologists who examined the symbols found glyphs that appear to have been copied directly from modern reference books rather than drawn from genuine ancient inscriptions. The grammar does not follow the conventions of any known period of Egyptian writing. Sections of the text cannot be translated at all, not because they are obscure, but because they combine signs in ways that form no valid words in any documented form of the language. That is precisely what you would expect from someone copying symbols out of a dictionary without understanding how the language actually works. Something that looks Egyptian without being linguistically functional. And yet, Alan Dash himself noted that new glyphs appeared to materialize on each of his subsequent visits after 1975. That is consistent with ongoing additions, but it is equally consistent with vegetation clearing slowly revealing sections that were always there. The site has never been formally excavated. No peer-reviewed paper has definitively established when any of the carvings were made. Darkinjung Elder, Auntie Bev Spears, has stated that some of the cartouche glyphs are Egyptian and that others at the site belong to an older tradition made by her own people. She is not advancing a fringe theory. She is describing what she understands the site to contain from a position of custodial knowledge that the official hoax narrative has never seriously engaged with. The hoax case is strong. The mainstream position is probably right. A site this contested, sitting inside one of the most significant Aboriginal rock art landscapes on the New South Wales Central Coast, has never been tested by a trowel. What the Gosford Glyphs ultimately reveal is not ancient Egyptian contact. It is how quickly a compelling story can outgrow the evidence beneath it, and how much harder it is to kill that story than it was to start it. Subscribe if you want more, and watch the next one.